Welcome. Thanks everybody else that's joined. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm going to get moving. Yeah, we're just after 12. So thanks everybody that's joined us. So a little bit of structure. I'm Dougal McIntosh. I'm from First AI. I'm going to be chairing the call today. I'm joined by three guests here, and I'll introduce them to you in a moment. A little bit of housekeeping first, if I may. So we've got an hour in the diary, but I thought we'd kind of keep the chat to about 45 minutes. We won't be taking questions through the webinar, so I hope that's okay with you all. But if you put in any questions into the chat, we've got Pearl here who is going to look after things, and we'll get to them at the end. Okay. And hopefully we'll give you a little bit of time back because I know that this is your lunch break before top of the hour. Okay, so a little bit of an intro then. This is the second in our series of webinars. So the first one we did back in May. Ultimately, our objective here is really about how we can roll out Copilot and get the benefits from Microsoft Copilot in our businesses. Okay, that's what we're all about. The first webinar, and you can go back. I think you can find the link on our website. We were joined by Simity, who are a Microsoft partner, and Microsoft, and that was really in order to kind of trail that a little bit. That was really introducing Copilot and helping people get started. We talked a little bit about how you handle things like some of the privacy, data concerns, and AI anxiety, which is a real thing, I think. Yeah, so we had some good insights around how you can, people can think about how you're communicating, how Copilot will have an impact on people's jobs. Okay, so go back and have a look at that. And just kind of a bit of a teaser for our next webinar. So put it in your diaries. We're going to be really getting into the practicalities. So we've got some practitioners joining us, and we're going to be talking about how they're implementing it within organizations. Okay. This webinar, we're doing a bit of a reflection, really. So we've billed it as the first 100 days, but that's not quite right. Any of you that can count. I think the first release was the 1st of November for EAP customers, and then general release on the 1st of January, right? But it's out there, 6 months. We've been playing about with this new product. So what we thought we would do is bring together some guests to talk about what that looks like, who's been rolling out, getting success and why, and some of the pains and why, and how they're being overcome. So that's what we're going to get into. We've specifically opened this one up to Microsoft partners as well. So many of you will have been invited because you are a Microsoft partner. So you're working with customers, helping them to roll out Microsoft Copilot within their organization. Okay, so and we've kind of targeted the panel around that. So before we get into intros, I know I'm talking a lot, but before we get into intros, I just thought I would share. We did a little poll, so some of you took part in that, so thank you, those that did. So a couple of polls, I just thought I'd share with you the results. So first one is, of those using Microsoft Copilot 365, who are getting the ROI that they were expecting. 55% said they were, or it was exceeding the ROI benefits. 45% said they weren't. Okay, so there's still obviously a challenge there, right? And when we asked the Microsoft partners the services they are providing to customers supporting Copilot rollout, we asked them, was it training, consulting, change management, technical support? So it's kind of a drop-down series of questions. I can tell you it was an even split, right? Okay, so that's the kind of market out there, it seems, at the moment. And when we asked what the biggest challenges were, and we asked, is it leadership buy-in? Is it skills? Is it AI anxiety? license restrictions, or is it user adoption? Yeah, when we asked what's the biggest challenge? It was 2 to 1. 2 to 1 told us it was adoption. That was the issue. Okay, so it feels like we're on the right track, right? Okay, when we're kind of setting up these sessions in order to talk about adoption, how to get it, and how to make it work, right? That's basically bringing us right back to the start. That's why we're here. Okay, so if I could go around the panel and ask them to introduce themselves, then that would be fantastic. Then we get into the questions. So Daphne Van Fleet, can I ask you to introduce yourself from Microsoft? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. Saying my name right in one first time. Great. Thank you all for being there. I'm very excited to talk to you about adoption, anything Copilot related. A lot of learnings I've had during the last 6 months as a partner development manager in the Netherlands Schiphol office. And I'm responsible for working with some of our indirects on a strategic level, helping them with sales, marketing, and now also building an adoption practice. Yeah, maybe Christina.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. So my name is Christina Chen. I'm CEO of First AI Talent. We're an organization that helps everyone in the audience here. So we help enterprises, we help Microsoft partners all about Copilot rollout, and we do that by providing trained up Copilot adoption managers. So these are adoption managers that we use very structured development programs to hire and train up, and they go into your organizations to drive user adoption.
And Leanne, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I know many of you on the call, not all of you. Great to be here. I'm Leanne Hobson, founder and CEO of Alinea Partners. We are a channel consultancy and have been working with Microsoft and all kinds of partners within their ecosystem since 2005. We work exclusively within the high-tech and telecommunications industry, and we've been helping Microsoft partners over the last 6 months roll out Copilot offers and improve their overall portfolios in many different countries. And in fact, we've worked in over 64 different countries with different partners.
Super, thanks. So we've got the software provider, we've got practitioners, and we've got Leanne, who can talk to the view of the partners, right, who are key part of the ecosystem to get this out. So thank you very much for joining us. So my first question is a bit of a retrospective, really. 100 days, yeah. I'd just like you guys to kind of, from a personal perspective, right? Okay, you've lived this, yeah. Give us an idea of what that's looked like for you. Daphne, can I ask you to take that first, if that's okay?
Yeah, thank you. So from a very personal level, I've embraced ChatGPT to its fullest. So I'm using it every day, and I was very happy that Copilot came because it made it possible for me to apply AI in the business environment, using it also with customer and particularly partner information. And it really changed the way I work. So for example, when I have a quarterly business review, I ask Copilot, what have I done during the last quarter? Can you give an overview? So in that sense, it really saves me a lot of time. So on a personal level, I use it a lot and I enjoy it a lot. But I have also needed to upgrade my prompting skills. And on a professional level, this is really everywhere in the Microsoft environment. I get daily mails about which prompts I could use, and a lot of trainings. I have already received some badges from trainings that I've earned. So while I already embraced AI in a personal space, I was very happy to do it also on a business level, and it's helping me a lot. But still, I do need reminders, and it's really helpful to talk about prompts and what to use and what not. For example, I also learned that sometimes it takes me longer to write a prompt than to write an email. I'm quite short and Dutch direct. So it's a lot of learning and also a lot of adoption on the personal side. I can continue to talk about the business side, but maybe I'll do that later.
Well, I'm
yeah.
curious, Daphne, how it's actually felt working within Microsoft, right? Okay, it feels like they've kind of obviously releasing loads of tools to help you guys use it personally within your work. How has it felt being part of this big organization as they've been promoting this tool?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on where your passion lies. I have a strong passion for ethics, and for me, it's a lot of fun to now, from a business perspective, also talk about ethics and also bring my imagination to what AI can mean for customers. So this is really new. Microsoft has been talking about added value for a long time and solution sales for a long time. But with the Copilot, it becomes really about the data the customer has. So I've been practicing a lot of AI conversations, and Microsoft has been offering me a lot of training on that. So that's very new for me. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I really like talking about Copilot and working with it and experimenting with it. So I think as long as you like the product, Microsoft is a super exciting place to be right now. Yeah, and like I said, it brings also a lot of ethical considerations. Suddenly, we really have to look at what are your values as a company, but also your personal values, and think of how to deal with that. So we're running into a lot of new situations, also from an ethical perspective, and how to deal with that. So we're starting to be in a new playing field, I think.
Fantastic. I've got a question later on about responsible AI, Daphne. So we'll kind of come back to ethics perhaps there. Maybe I could go around the table. Who wants to go next? Leanne, Christina?
Happy to go. So we see this is quite interesting in the last 6 months with respecting looking at what has happened, right? The journey. It's really interesting because we see every kind of player in the ecosystem, right? So we look at, obviously, we work with clients and enterprises who are first piloting and then rolling out more of Copilot. With that, we also work with Microsoft partners who are either signing licenses or selling services to the end clients. Obviously, also collaborating very closely with Microsoft themselves to drive adoption, drive usage. It's really very much, I would say, it's a journey. The way I see it is, and I can see it's a journey from passive and quite a lot of just, hey, it's a new technology, let's jump on it, let's have a look, let's play around, let's explore, to starting to think more strategically. For the ones who have, come out the first wave very strong, start to think more strategically. Okay, how does that fit into my bigger AI strategy? How do I build my workforce? Giving them not only these tools, but help build AI mindset in the organization. Practically, we also see, from a direct enterprise use perspective, it exposed quite a lot of kind of the foundation, how good your foundation has been in the past few years anyway. Anything to do with data, has your data been up to scratch, has it been clean labeled, and all of that kind of come into light, and that's ongoing work. There's also exposure as to how good your change management or kind of just leadership strength within an organization, because this is uncharted territory for everyone. So going through that, and we see those who have had the good foundations, many years building up to this, and they are able to move very fast. And now their thinking is, okay, what does that look like? Business as usual, right? And we're transitioning to that phase now. What does that mean in terms of building my own capability, etc.? And this echoes to the partners. I know there are many partners here. Is how partners then follow that journey, right? So for the first phase of the journey is the first 100 days, is the readiness, is the deployment, is the licenses, etc. But then very quickly, if we want to go sell beyond that or partner with your clients beyond that, is what are you doing beyond the first 100 days, first deployment, etc., and help them build that AI mindset, AI transformation within the organization. So that's a bit of a journey. Obviously, we see so many different people at different phase of this journey, but that's kind of where we see the shape forming up.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, don't underestimate the change management, I guess, is, a key message, right?
Yeah.
And this is a mindset shift. Yeah, we need to kind of think of it differently, perhaps, than we have other digital transformations. Very good. Thank you. Leanne.
I guess I would sum up the last 6 months or 100 days as excitement, confusion, and potentially even a little bit of concern, and some comfort. From an excitement perspective, anyone who knows me, I've become an absolute evangelist. I think this is the time, and one of the times in the industry that we haven't seen since Lou Gerstner launched e-business, but it is a fantastic opportunity for Microsoft channel partners to change their business models and move from selling transactionally, upscale to more value selling to CEOs, either if they're already there, reinforce it, or new relationships, and an opportunity to sell for more profit if positioned correctly. And I've been speaking with companies all over the world about that and trying to help them do that. Then I decided that we would buy Copilot because I think you can't sell it unless you use it. And I want to be a good Microsoft partner again. So we all sat around. We have a huge table in our conference room. It's a circle. We sat there with our computers open, and I upgraded those people that needed to be upgraded to premium. And we were pretty good about our data management. So we knew who was in what file, et cetera, and what folder. And then I bought Copilot and I got excited. I was like, okay, where's the email? Where's the download link? And everyone's looking at me and they said, there won't be a download link. And that was my first aha experience, that this is something completely different than what we've been doing for years and years in the industry. And if I didn't start thinking about how it was going to be different from the very beginning, then there was no way that I could explain that to anybody else. And I have also embraced it, and I've been using it as often as possible. I like when I find documents and information that I haven't looked at in years that's in our system, that we can then, bring back up those ideas and help us to make better decisions because we've had access to that. I don't like when I have to work a long time on trying to get the prompt correct. It's like using Siri, and that didn't go very well for me, but it's a learning experience for me and for everyone else. A little bit of concern because we do work with a lot of partners globally, and we still see many, not all, but many, trying to sell this as a Microsoft 365 upgrade. And what we're already seeing, and what Microsoft's seeing, and all the channel partners we're talking to, is if it's only sold as an upgrade and that onboarding experience, tell them they're not going to get a link, for example, plus other things, and that adoption isn't done correctly, then people just stop using it. You get frustrated. You decide, well, maybe it wasn't really worth the amount of money that I spent on it. Maybe I'll go back to it later, or I keep thinking I'm going to do it on the weekend when I have time, and I don't. So why do I renew? So it's really important to think about how that whole onboarding and adoption is going to take place, because that's where the stickiness happens with customers if done correctly. And then the last thing is I'm feeling comforted because every time I get on the phone with anyone from Microsoft, and they had us do a Copilot learning document, a playbook, the first words are, we're learning with you. And I am really excited about their embracing that this is new, but also that it's a process within the channel. So I'm excited to continue on it with them.
Fantastic. A lot in there, Leanne, but I think that message, I mean, I think we hear it a lot. I mean, certainly we do with our business. You know, you become an evangelist if you're using it, right? Okay. You know, we give it to, our business is hiring grads and training them, and we give them these tools. They're digitally native. Often they come from computer science type backgrounds, and it's like setting a fire. It's unbelievable. And they go around finding the use cases, building the custom Copilots, and it can get really exciting. But it is a journey, right? It's not like a digital transformations we've done before. Okay, super. Thank you. That was question one. So let's get into there's a positive, and then we'll kind of maybe look at the challenges a little bit, right? So who wants to start us off with, you know, sharing, I guess, who's done really well? Yeah. What examples have you seen where it's worked really well, and perhaps why? Yeah. Daphne, do you want to get us going with this one?
Yeah, for sure. So who has been doing well? I think the partners that already have an adoption practice really jumped on this opportunity to embrace Copilot for their next projects. And they're doing well because they're used to not sell licenses, but value. And so they didn't really have to change their business model. I think this is also for you probably the case. But on the other hand, the partners that are still selling licenses, they are really having a tough time, because now with Copilot, like I said, we are having a new playing field. Leanne also said about this shift in the selling model, and if you're right now just coming to change your business model, it is quite tough. So I think the partners that really embraced adoption and change management to be a tech service, these are the partners that are doing really well.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Christina, what about at a client level? Who are you seeing getting out of the blocks fast?
Yeah, well, I'll echo what everyone has said, especially what Daphne said just now about the adoption practice. So it's the same. It's the same that we see for companies who have put in place a plan, adoption plan or transformation plan, treating this as a transformation project rather than IT projects, is those who have gone on and been very successful with the first wave of Copilot. I'll give an example. We were just speaking with a financial services company last week. They have a few thousand employees worldwide, a couple dozen offices globally. And they started in the EAP program end of last year for the first 300 licenses. And they have seen very good results, very high, 90% upwards, some of the metrics, usage, etc. There are many factors at play here, but one of them was from the get-go, this was run with change management in mind. They had a small but significant team, 5 or 6 people who came from different backgrounds, change management, also communications, obviously the technical side, etc. And that really helped as a team, as a group, to propel the organization forward. They're now at the stage where they are making decisions as to further rollout, etc. And they're starting to look at even more advanced use cases, building extensions, customer Copilot, etc. And that comparing to, we had a very similar organization in the financial services space, similar size, similar situation, where they have also been in the EAP program, but have not seen as much. If you just look at pure metrics, obviously there's a lot behind. There's 30% versus 90% metrics. And one of the things that also was interesting is what adoption looks like. You can have an adoption team, etc. Is that ground up or just top down, right? You could have a lot of communications. Hey, we're rolling out Copilot, XYZ, emails coming out. But are you driving this from the grassroots? Do you have people walking the floors and looking at, okay, training your users, sitting with the business divisions, whether that's sales, that's HR, that's marketing, etc., building use cases, etc., rather than sort of top-down emails, here's how you write a prompt, and here off you go. And there's a lot of that, and the more, obviously it's more resource intensive, but the more you can do that in a small group environment, the more you see those ROI. And that's how critical mass, and that's how the domino effects happen, right? Is people then start to take that on themselves and spread the word within their own teams or organizations. And that also reduces the whole point about AI anxiety. You never know, especially in a larger organization where people's heads are in terms of how this tool is going to help us or help me or take my job. Obviously, top-down communications from the get-go to communicate that and put people at ease, that's very good. But at the same time, if you have people really helping them side by side, driving the adoption and helping them on the daily use daily use perspective, they feel like, all right, actually this is a tool that is meant to help me, save me time, etc., rather than from the top, I need to be using it, otherwise I'm obsolete and whatnot. And again, so this, adoption also comes in flavors, or how you do this. And we see the ones who really mean it and do it from the ground, grassroots, that those are very successful.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's a curious thing, isn't it? The users are often in a different place that we're used to. They're not in IT. These guys are in the business functions, right? So, we need to help them. Sorry, Leanne, go for it.
It's okay. I was just going to say that Christina made an excellent point about adoption going beyond that onboarding experience. And going beyond training. I mean, if you think about how, I always say, when I worked for big companies, I used to have access to the IT department. So when anything went wrong with my computer, all I had to do was pick up the phone, call somebody, and somebody was there to fix it. And that was the thing I missed the most when I started my own company, because I didn't have that person to call or that team to call. And I think Copilot is something similar, where when you're in the moment of using it, if you can access that person, or somebody who can help, then that's going to keep you going and keep you motivated and keep the process going. So I think companies thinking about that from the very beginning and how to resource it are those that are going to be doing better in the market. And if I look at who's the original question of who's doing well, if I think we're working globally right now in not in every country, but in many countries, and I think Europe is a little bit farther ahead in their mindset in general. Companies that have a fast-moving, volume-based business model, I see not doing very well because they're still thinking about tenants and not about practices. And that's just not in their DNA. So it's going to be the biggest shift for them. So if you're thinking about, who you're going to go and make competitive plays against, it's something you could think about. But the companies that are doing it best and learning from it, first, they're using it, which is really important. Second, they're thinking about every step. So if I think about my customer's journey or my prospect's journey, because they're not a customer yet, through when they become a customer and then beyond that, and what are the different touch points that I want to have with them, and what services do I want to offer at each of those stages, I can then think about packaging that up into a full solution that I might deliver over time, but that takes them, we keep saying on that journey, but helps them go from where they are today, their status quo, to what that AI ambition is. What do they want to do with it? And if that's not the very first conversation that is taking place, then the relationship's not being established, and the understanding that this is something you have to invest in. We're going to invest in you, customer, but you guys need to turn around and invest in us and work with us through this process. And the other thing I think I see as good is when a company doesn't necessarily settle. This can be tough, but settle for only selling in 3 or 5 test cases. How can any company of a decent size get any kind of a benchmark within their organization or any kind of learning if they're only dealing with 3 cases? So, Mr. CEO, Mr. COO, Mr. Revenue Officer, if you're trying to improve experience of customer or experience of employee, you need to have a benchmark. Let's talk 20, 50, 100. Maybe they buy in for a certain amount of time, but we need to have the mass in order to be able to get that domino effect, or you have no dominoes on the table.
Thank you. Look, something like, and I think this might be your line, Leanne, you need to give your customer services, not just licenses, right? Okay. Yeah. And, it leads me really nicely. You've led me really nicely into, I guess, what's the biggest pain, right? Okay. And challenge. And I think in the conversations I have, you kind of almost got 2 camps. It's not as simplistic as this. You've got those that are kind of really embracing this technology and doubling down. Yeah. And then you've got those that are kind of just dipping their toe in the water. They bought a few licenses, give them to a handful of people in the business to see what happens. Right. Okay. And they're thinking, where next? Right. Okay. So, help me, I guess, what have we seen? What have you guys seen? The biggest challenges the organizations have faced, and how are they handling them? What's the best, how are they overcoming them in a positive way? Daphne, I'll keep going around in the same order if that's okay. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So when we look at customers, we see that they're often already licensed selling partners with these customers. So, of course, we would like these partners to look into having this Copilot conversation with their customers. And I've had some frustrations coming then, because like Christina earlier said, then it becomes clear what the actual estate really looks like. Do they have their data governance in place? How is their security? So one of my frustrations has been that a Copilot lead became a security lead. And of course, we like to sell security, but we also want to start having this Copilot conversation. Then another frustration I had is when partners have sold Copilot and they are not going to work on the adoption, this customer is paying and not getting the value they were looking for. So with these frustrations, I've been looking into what can we do about it, and I've set up a few initiatives. For example, bringing together the partners that have a solution on data governance or on adoption like you have, and connect them with these partners that sell the licenses, so that these partners don't have to worry that their customer is going somewhere else because they are not able to sell the service the customer actually needs. So my solution is usually to go partner to partner, because I don't want to move the customer away if they have a good relationship with their current partner. But with all the innovation, a partner cannot do everything. They have to do what they're good at, and for what they're not good at, find partnerships. Do it either white labeled or a joint activity. So I think if I peel it off, my biggest frustration is that partners think they should be able to do it all. And that's just not an option to do everything and do it right. So that's why I'm also with this call with you in this call, because I think sometimes we have to leave it up to the specialists and we can learn together, but not try to do everything, especially if it's new.
Thank you, Daphne. Good reminder to us. I think there, Christina, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm gonna
What
give
have you seen?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a very different perspective, which is to do with resources and cost and money, capital. So I think most people understand there's an adoption need, and we hammer this message enough on this call. But really, in reality, on the ground, if you go to you have a client conversation, honestly, there had been no budget about this because there was no there was no Copilot in the first, the last financial budgeting, right? So a lot of this has been very ad hoc, and this hadn't been, so the resources, what I mean by resources, either people, because obviously it didn't exist in the organization yet, or the money or the budget hadn't exist yet. At the same time, the cost is very high, right? Anybody who's a co-pilot, a consultant right now is going for, thousands plus a day rate. So, and this is very natural, by the way. It's very natural when new technology, especially something so revolutionary, come about, and we'll all go through this phase. But it's also a bit of a handicap for the partners, for the clients, because with all the best intentions, you want to have all these great people on the ground, do X, Y, Z, getting all the data ready, security ready, adoption teams, etc. in the businesses. It's just not enough. You do the maths on the budget, it doesn't stack up. And that's where the biggest challenge really comes down to from our perspective. That's why we have this solution that helps partners and help clients and really unclog the entire ecosystem by pumping in sort of skilled up adoption managers trained up on Copilot. They go in just to do that, to ease the pain point here, ease the blockage here, where you can also have the resources coming in, whether it's to, for you on partners on projects or for that to indirect going to the clients, because again, the relationships are already there, you have the clients trust, etc., but actually helping them solve this pain point and help them build the business case without breaking the bank, breaking the budget, is really, I think it's highly valuable. It also helps partners to go into the bigger conversation, more strategic CEO level conversation as to, great, we're helping on this specific project, but what's your bigger, as Lian was saying, what's your bigger ambition in AI? And how are you going to do that? Because this will be everyday needs going forward. Copilot is barely starting, right? And how does that work? How are you going to build your workforce capabilities, and how can we assist you to do that? And this is around, okay, can some of your expertise partners here, I'm speaking with, expertise be left behind, right? Can you help the organizations to build that up without cannibalizing your own business? You actually leave behind a recurring piece within the organization, so you keep that thread going as well. And this is something our model helps the clients to do, is having that leave behind. So you have a bit of an edge, say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. CEO, actually, you can work with us for the first deployment onboarding process for our expertise, but don't worry, our expertise can also stay with you for certain elements going forward, while our high-end expertise on security, etc., is still coming on a project basis. So these are just some of the ways we are seeing, how we can best the pain point about actually the budget and the resources constraint, and how we can solve that creatively as a collective here.
Thank you, Christina. Lian?
Yeah, I would reflect P2P as partner is not being used as often as it could be. There are great companies out there, and great automated solutions as well that can help support. So I would reflect that. And as Christina said, these are costs that hadn't been considered before. You can also help be an advisor. I won't harp on getting your package in order, your bundle in order, but that's also something to take into consideration when you're building that package of services that you want to offer to your client, or a service with multiple pieces that you want to offer to your clients. Let me touch on something completely different, where I'm seeing a concern. Customer knowledge, customer insight. We're looking at companies or working with companies that know too little about prospects and customers. A lot of stuff still managed in Excel. We have people on our team who love Excel. I won't slam it, but not a full CRM system. There are other good systems out there, and demographics seem to be what most good practice looks like today. And then maybe what else is sold. If you're a Microsoft partner, you might also have access to Cloud Ascent, so you can pull in that data. But what's missing are softer things. And the softer things are what allows you to have a conversation of value. So what industry are they in? Is that industry thriving right now, or is it declining? Are they making money or not? Would they be up for investing or maybe not? Are they an industry that's been hit by cyber hacks? If you look at hospitals and healthcare organizations globally, they're under attack because they can't afford not to pay that ransomware. They need to offer their services. They need to save lives, and they can't be out of business while somebody tries to figure out whether or not they're going to pay a ransomware. They're obligated to do that. They need to be top of game. And there are other industries out there like that. Are there companies that are embracing a work at home or a flexible work strategy? They're going to have different productivity needs. They're going to want to share information and communicate differently. They're going to have different security needs. If I'm working at a cafe around the corner, what guidance do I want to give my employees who are doing that? And how do I help them with Copilot if they're sitting alone in the airport? So understanding the dynamics within the organization, and those are just a few things that we talk about, is important, because that's what gives your sales people the opportunity to have a quality discussion about business outcomes and not about technology.
Super, thanks, Leanne. So this reflection around this is going to be, a significant investment in change in order to make it work, right? But I think the message is that there's a lot of partners that know how to do that, right? Okay, they exist. The partner communities, that knowledge exists already in the partner community. We just need to kind of bring it to the surface. And second, I think the other observation I would have that's perhaps unique to Copilot is the ROI is almost immediate, right? Okay, it's so, the pull through is so quick. So yes, maybe they don't have that capital investment ready to go, Christina, but they're going to get it back, right, pretty quickly, within their business, and we can help them see what that looks like. Right, we're kind of running on time, so I want to kind of pull ourselves back a little bit. So two things. So any questions, stick them in the chat, right? Okay, we'll start to have a look at those in a minute. I got a couple more questions that I want to ask you guys, yeah, and then we'll see whether there's anything there that we in the chat that I want to pull out. So I was at this one kind of came up because I was at the AI Summit in London recently, and one thing that kind of resonated that everybody was talking about was trust, right? Okay, this whole AI is going to either kill me or take my job, right? Yeah. So I want to ask each of you what a responsible AI means to you. How do you kind of handle that? Daphne, could I come to you first?
Yes, of course. Yeah, so ethical AI and responsible AI it's critical, and this is new for all of us, and it's very important. I really enjoyed reading the book Tools and Weapons by Brad Smith, because technology is like a knife. You can cut your food with it and eat it, and it's very important, but you can also kill someone with it. So it's very important to think very critically about each business objective you're trying to get with AI. So, for example, there was a lottery. They want to start working with AI. And then I immediately started thinking, okay, what is this scenario? Are they going to make gambling more addictive? Even some stuff that's regulated and legal, we should still be very critical on, do we want to put our name on this? Is this sensible? And we should talk about it. So by talking about it and having a diverse perspective, so diversity is becoming more and more important, because AI can impact anyone in society. And we've already seen with scientific developments that women have not been taken in consideration enough. So we already foresee that if we are not going to be critical and with diverse perspective, this can get out of hand. But in this call, we're here about Copilot, and this is mostly a productivity tool. So I don't think it will get that extreme yet with Copilot. But it's super important to talk about this and raise anything that we have concerns about as soon as possible.
Thank you. And Leanne?
I agree with that fully. I have a friend who used to work at Microsoft and then went to work on moonshots at Google. And he had some things happen in his life and started his own company. The name of the company is 1 Billion Happy. And he started this company quite a few years ago, but it was all about AI. And his belief is, if you feed, the AI will become what we develop it to be. So if we feed AI horrible language and horrible things that are happening in the world, and AI is collecting, fake news of the day, then chances are that's what we're going to end up with and leave our grandchildren with and their children. If we choose to build it with trust and diversity and intelligent progression, then it's going to give us back what we put into it. So I'll leave you with 1 billion happy. But just one thing about targeting and what we're seeing is there are 3 groups of people right now. One, they're your early adopters. They're people who have probably already knocked on your door and said, hey, what's with this AI stuff, or what's with Copilot? Those are the ones you can have your early conversations, and you can be the most open and honest with them about where we are, because they're learning as well. And the fact that they reached out to you shows that they want to be a front runner and they understand what goes with that category, with that ambition. The second are those customers you have good relationships with or you have had a long time. And if you knock on their door and say, hey, listen, I've worked on my offer, and you think I've worked on the discussion and narrative I want to have with them, they're going to listen to you. You get that one chance with them, every one of them. And then there's a third group. There's a group that is afraid and they're concerned and they think it's a conspiracy theory. And I would say, let them be. There is more than enough business for all of us in those first 2 categories. Some of them will shift over, but if they're not in the right headspace, don't spend your time and your money educating them to be in that headspace. Focus on the first 2.
Great advice. Thank you, Leanne. Christina, what do you got for us?
Well, so from our perspective, I mean, responsible AI is a huge topic. It's everything from fairness, inclusiveness, accountability, privacy, etc. I just touch on one piece, which is really the human element of this, and is, you know, is the AI is to empower the human rather than the other way around. I think everyone, but well, on this call would be would be on that same page there. The challenge within the organization to translate that, whether it's partner or your end client, is what that looks like. You know, I think everyone has the intention to be responsible citizens, as Daphne and Leanne was saying. How do you, what do you put in is what you get out. So put in clean stuff, not garbage. Everyone has that responsibility to be responsible citizens, but awareness and training is needed. And this is, I don't mean training from not only, you know, formal, you know, training in classrooms and whatnot, but day to day, just people, you know, we just even all shared our personal experiences of how we got on this Copilot journey, right? And using it for the first time, etc. And that's, it's by using it, people will start to understand. But you, as a big organization, though, there's quite a lot of guardrail you can put in to make sure you're safe, compliant, and all that. But really still comes down to the day-to-day, the every employee. And that again comes back to kind of the grassroots, the worker, the everyone on the ground, on your office, in your office, on the floor. Are these people who are driving the AI adoption people first? People, you know, they're passionate about people rather than they're passionate about, or is instead of being passionate about technology first, you know, are they passionate about just what's out there, what's the shiniest, newest, latest updates, or are they passionate about helping their colleagues, their department, etc., leverage this tool for the best, you know, outcome, best success of their teams, etc. We see there's quite a different outcome and approach, and people's solution they come up with when they're different mindset or just preferences of working or where passion is. And that's why we always say you got to have a diverse team, right? People come in, it's not just IT, it's not just technical. And that's why all the adoption managers, again, these are not just IT and technical, very important technical skills, don't get me wrong, is those business skills, those communication, those personal skills, that the empathy that comes innate with some individuals, those are very important to the overall organization's health in terms of responsible AI.
Thank you, Christina. So I think we've got time for just like 2 more questions. Okay, so I'm gonna bundle one of them a little bit. So maybe you could answer these. They're kind of 2 separate questions. I'm going to put them together. So, you know, what's it going to look like in the next 100 days, right? Okay. Obviously that's Christmas. Yeah. So, you know, eggnog, but what will Copilot look like? What would it look like in 100 days time? And also, I guess, you know, the horizon beyond that, yeah. And what would you recommend people think about in order to help prepare themselves now for those opportunities of the future? Daphne, could you get us going with that?
Yes, difficult to answer very shortly, but so I think the C-suite is very interested in AI, and I think there's still a lot of work to do on security. So I hope a lot of partners and customers are working on getting their security ready for the next 100 days so they can start adopting Copilot. And also, if I reflect on ChatGPT, the first time I use it and how I use it today, it became way smarter. So Copilot, sometimes still I'm like, I don't know. But I think in the next 100 days, it will get smarter. It will learn a lot. And I think it will start to run even smoother.
Fantastic. Leanne?
I think we're going to see more of the same. I've been in the business a while.
Yeah.
But use cases and pockets of inspiration at all levels. Thinking about, you know, where you're going. channel partners that are on the call, I'd encourage you to, maybe take a small step back and reflect a little bit on where you want your business to be, how you want to grow it. Do you want to increase EBITDA? Do you want to look at introducing reoccurring revenue? Do you want to be selling and advising CEOs in a consultative way? If so, Copilot is where you should hang your hat. Huge opportunity.
Thank you. Christina?
I think it's, echoing everyone said so far. Just to add on, it's something that will stay. AI Copilot. I know, obviously, we're all in it because we're passionate about it as individuals. But if you look at the competitive pressure that is coming, we have front runners in the industry who, their announcement coming out, they're rolling out globally, jumping in it with 2 feet, etc. I think they're in the next 6 months, coming up to Christmas, there will be more of those commitment coming from organizations, which means the second camp where people are playing around with it, exploring, etc., will be under more and more pressure. And we already see that in some industries which are moving faster, and there's less of an excuse or reason say, well, we're still playing with it another 6 months down the line. And what that means is a lot of the C-suite is starting to think about, okay, what does this mean if it is becoming every day? It's becoming my business as usual. It's becoming, I as an organization need to transform to have that AI mindset, AI savviness, build that capability. And partners, how can you build that together, help us to build that. Clients, how do you have the resources coming in to build to have your mini AI capability as a seed to start with and start growing from there. And this is what we see, conversations shifting from transactions, let's get the technology embedded, rolled out, onboarded, etc., to, hey, strategically, what does my workforce look like for the AI era?
Fantastic. And so since you're speaking, last question then, Christina, you in your role, what are you going to do, I guess, and it'll be the same question, to help organizations roll out Copilot successfully?
Yeah, well, as I said at the very, very beginning, we as an organization, all we do is providing Copilot adoption managers to the market, right? Whether that's channel partners directly, we can white label that into clients and clients. And there are I would just highlight 2 interesting points so you can take away and see how that fits into your situation. One is because we have this contractor to a permanent model, conversion model, it's kind of best in both worlds. It allows you to take on these resources. We're a resourcing company effectively, pretty scalably. As a partner, you only need to take resources when you have billable work. So you're not carrying that cost on the bench, etc. Very easy for you to draw. These people are already trained up, ready to go, and they are on our development program, so they're always up to date because things are coming up. Daphne is going to put out updates all the time, and her colleagues putting out all the time on Copilot, so that's running. And second is around that network effect is, the conversation here about there's a lot of knowledge within the market already from Microsoft within the sort of partner community, and is by pooling all these adoption managers that we have together, there's a lot of best practice sharing. So you don't need to feel like you're doing it yourself, right? Your adoption manager will be plugged into how everyone else is doing it, what's the learnings, etc., and avoid some of the pitfalls. And that's really all we're about, and why we're having these webinars and joining those as well, is sharing that best practice. So there's a network effect as well, and virtual cycle, and that's us. And so if you're looking for resources that are giving you horsepower to drive that, whether to drive the Copilot rollout and adoption, drop us a line in the chat or on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Well, look, guys, I think we're at time. Maybe we'll leave it there. Yeah, okay. We'll make this available to everybody. So thanks everybody for joining us, and thank you particularly to Christina, Leanne, and Daphne. Thanks for sharing your insights today. And everybody, have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Daphne. Thank you, Dougal, for hosting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe they're the people who stepped away from their desk.
Yeah. Or they want to talk with us
Could
after.
be. Are you guys staying on the call because you have a question? That's the quickest way to get people to run away. Ask them if they have a question.
Yeah.
Albert?
Yeah, I thought maybe have a talk after, but maybe we can join the session we were in before this one.
Okay, good idea.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, see you there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.